Suga Sean. Where does Suga Sean O'Malley go from losing the title against Merab, losing the second chance at Merab at bantamweight? Where does he go? Featherweight? Does he stay at bantamweight? What does he do in this video? Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA. As you probably know, I'm a huge Sean O'Malley fan. I always go to Arizona to his gym. I have a signed glove of him here. His deodorant brand, a signed bottle there, all of that, right? I will always support him and always be a fan of him. I'm not the type of guy who just turns his back on a fighter because he lost one or two fights and it's like, seems like he wasn't that good after all. I do believe Sean O'Malley is a one-of-a-kind talent, and I do believe he has a future in that sport even after losing to Merab twice in a row. But it is a serious and hard question where he goes from here, because I have to say, I'm not sure if I have the definitive answer, because he's kind of at a crossroad here. Because on one side you could say, hey, stay at bantamweight. What speaks for that? What speaks for it is he already established himself in that division. He still is kind of, unless Merab is the champion, if Merab isn't the champion anymore, he's always that one win away from a title shot, right? Because he has that star power, because he's exciting, and especially if he wins by knockout, right? And he won a lot of fights in that division already. So there's rematches to make and all of that. And in that division, he has a reach advantage, which is very nice for his style, because he does cut a lot of weight, but at the same time, he's not dying during the weight cut. He has a pretty smooth wake up from what I always hear. And for that, I think it would not be a stupid idea to stay at bantamweight, because as long as you're not killing yourself for the weight cut and you feel like you're dying, of course, weight cuts always suck, but you get what I'm saying. On Kayla Harrison, that's where it gets kind of concerning, you know what I mean? Unless it's that level, why not stay in a division where you have a significant reach advantage and you can use that nicely, plus also the other guys will most definitely not be more powerful than you, right? There's a lot of nice advantages there that can help you. The problem that I see at bantamweight, the only reason why I'm not sure if he should stay at bantamweight is I do not see anyone beating Merab in the close future. Now let's look at the scenarios. Of course, you could go way in the future and be like, hey, Mario Bautista or Marcus McGee, whatever, even though I do not believe any of those guys beats Merab. Of course, you could always go in 5 years, Raul Rosas, whatever, you know what I mean? But let's look at the current state. Petr Yan got mauled by Merab. Figgy is out of the title picture as of the moment and would have never zero chance, but he would not beat Merab. Corey Sandhagen gets a title shot at Merab now, and he has a chance just because he's such a smart fighter, but I do believe, as of right now, that Merab beats him. This is not an official prediction, but I do believe that from the top of my head. Then who else is there? Umar. Umar is one win away from getting another title shot, obviously, because he was the closest to beating Merab, right? Now, the problem in that is that the chances that Umar versus O'Malley could happen are pretty big, in my opinion, because that fight would make some kind of sense. And Umar, even if he doesn't fight O'Malley right now, in the hypothetical case that he beats Merab and becomes the champion, Umar, in my opinion, is probably even a worse matchup for Sean O'Malley. Because you have to see, Umar has phenomenal wrestling and grappling, just like Merab. Of course, Merab is a little bit more ferocious with it. But Umar also has phenomenal takedowns. Don't forget, he's a Nurmagomedov.
Umar Nurmagomedov, ladies and gentlemen.
And look against Merab, like it's not like he can't grapple. He's a phenomenal grappler. Plus, he also has phenomenal striking. And he is a smart fighter as well, with Khabib being one of the smartest guys in his corner. And Khabib will drill him to shoot very early to keep Sean O'Malley guessing about the takedowns, and the guessing of the takedowns opens up your striking. That's how Merab had so much success on the feet against O'Malley, because O'Malley just was always looking for the takedowns, and Merab, with his weird style with ducking the whole time, he was always like, it's gonna shoot, you know what I mean? So you cannot really focus on the striking. Otherwise, in a pure striking match, Merab would have zero chance against O'Malley. You get what I'm saying? And Umar has the dangerous striking together with the dangerous grappling, right? So he could give him even more of a threat of even knocking him out. And of course, Suga can beat Umar, of course he can. But I do think stylistically it's not a fun matchup for him. I do think it's a bad matchup in a way as well. And of course, the hypothetical is there that Umar is so confident in striking that he strikes with O'Malley, and he could have success as well, but of course he could also get hurt there. Umar has been knocked down before by that Uzbekistan, or no, what's the country of him? Kazakhstan guy, right? I forgot his name right now. But it's not like Umar is untouchable. Don't think I say O'Malley can't beat Umar. I just say it's stylistically another tough matchup, and the only one I see beating Merab, hypothetically, is Umar, and Merab are bad matchups for Sean. You get what I'm saying? And obviously you want to get to the title. And he's not getting a fight ever again against Merab, in my opinion. So if Merab stays a champion, which is what I imagine Merab stays a champion for another at least 2 years before he retires, unless he gets knocked out by someone, which is always possible. So I do believe O'Malley's chances at a bantamweight title are pretty limited at the moment, and you would have to see how the whole division plays out. Of course, one win by someone can change everything, right? If Merab gets knocked out against Corey, that shakes everything up again. So maybe it would not be stupid for Sean O'Malley. Actually, before I go to the featherweight take, I do think actually the smartest thing for Sean O'Malley, he's 30 years old, he's not old, is to just take a year off and just train on his wrestling, train on his grappling, not the BJJ omoplatas, on grappling specifically to beat those type of guys, to get up quick, to use maybe kimuras or something to get up, you know what I mean? Tactical grappling for MMA, for that scenario, for those guys you're about to face. And just work on himself, take a year off, and come back 31 years of age, still young, right? Still 2-3 years left in the game, and take another run. That's probably the best option, because by then maybe the division has changed a little bit. Everything can change so much and in such a short amount of time, especially with Merab being such an active guy, right? If he fights 2-3 more times until Sean O'Malley comes back, everything can be different. Merab can be retired. Merab can move up to 145. He has hard weight because you never know. You know what I mean? The other option is moving up to 145, which there are some interesting matchups, but at the end of the day, 145 is dangerous, man. Because those guys up there are the same size as you. You will not have the size advantage anymore. They're probably even bigger than Sean O'Malley. The guys like Diego Lopez and those guys are big guys, man. They're powerful. They're fast. They have phenomenal striking up there. Of course, a fight of like Yair Rodriguez versus Sean O'Malley will be a dream fight to watch for a fan. But as a Sean O'Malley fan, I am concerned for him at this division because those guys are pretty big and they have a lot of power. It's only 10 pounds, but if you compare the featherweights to the bantamweights, there's quite a big difference in terms of size. A Yair Rodriguez could never make 135, never ever. You know what I mean? So I do believe there's a lot of dangerous matchups out there, a lot of fun matchups as well, of course, because as I said, Yair Rodriguez, those fights are very fun. They sound very fun. And if he goes up to featherweight, what would make sense is a test like Brian Ortega, for example, who is very hittable in the stand-up, who O'Malley can definitely knock out, who has not the greatest wrestling, but phenomenal jiu-jitsu, right? I couldn't even say jiu-jitsu. Phenomenal jiu-jitsu, right? So Brian Ortega would be a threat to O'Malley on the ground, but at the same time, O'Malley would be a huge threat to Ortega on the feet. So that would be a fun matchup. He's number 7 ranked, so you could make a good argument there for why he gets to fight him. Would get him right into featherweight top 3 contention if he beats him, right? If he beats Ortega, he's 1 win away from a title shot at featherweight. And it is a matchup that is not too much danger in terms of getting knocked out or something like Diego Lopez is, but would ease your way into the featherweight division and having still a tough test in Brian Ortega, who submitted the guy I just mentioned, Yair Rodriguez, right? So in my opinion, those are the 3 options: staying at bantamweight, going up to featherweight, or what I suggest is take a year off, take all the noise off. Of course, he did that by just not J-ing the pan or whatever he said and all of that. Of course, but it's something different to completely, he was recovering from surgery. Now just calm down a little bit, work in the dark, work on your weaknesses, and it's different if you work on wrestling in a training camp or work on wrestling and grappling off camp. You can work on much different things, more detailed things than in training camp. And I would love to see that for Sean. You have to see, since the first Merab fight, he went right into training camp from recovering from the hip surgery, right? So he never really had time to just refine his skills. So I would love that for Sean. Take a year off, come back at 31, and shake up the game once again. This is my opinion. What is next for Suga Sean? Write your opinion in the comments, you guys. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, check out my merch, bloodsportmma, worldwide free shipping with the code FREE. Link is in the bio. Pieces like this, phenomenal stuff. Stay bloody, you guys, and until the next one, bye bye. Bloodsport out.